Welcome to our lesson about inserting an image. In the next few lessons, we're going to be building a part that uses images as a guide for the shape of the part. Let's begin as usual with a sketch. I'll insert it on the top plane. Now let's go to Tools, Sketch Tools, Sketch Picture. You can find this picture in your exercise folder. Select L45 bottom. Check thumbnail to make sure it's the right part, and then click Open. Let's zoom out, and I'm going to grab and reposition it. In the Property Manager, we can specify the X and Y coordinates for the position of our image. Those coordinates describe the left bottom corner of the sketch. We can rotate the picture as well. We can also scale it in the X and Y directions. If lock aspect ratio is checked, the picture will scale uniformly. We're also able to flip the pictures along the X and Y axes by clicking these buttons here. Down below, we've got transparency options. None. From File, you'd use this second option if you've got a transparent GIF image, for example. Full Image and User Defined. User Defined is where I can choose the color and then make this color transparent. Let's try the Full Image option. Make it about 40% transparent. And let's accept our changes. To make the image a particular height and width, we can use construction lines. Let's dimension the lines. Let's make this line 500 millimeters. Right-click, select, close the Dimension tool. Let's select our line and the origin point and add a midpoint relation. Now let's go back and edit our image. I'm going to grab at the corner and then scale to our specified width. Something like this. Let's change it back to the original size. It was 686 millimeters. Position it at the center. And let's accept these changes. Now I'm going to select and delete the construction line. Another reason to use construction geometry is because it'll be easier to map the rest of the image. Let's add another construction line. Right-click and select. Now we'll exit the sketch, take an isometric view. If you want to delete the image and insert a new one, you'd simply right-click and select Delete. Let's rename our sketch. I'm going to name it appropriately. I'll call it Bottom. Click OK. Now let's insert a second sketch on the front plane. Let's take a normal 2 view, and we'll go to Tools, Sketch Tools, Sketch Picture. Here I'm going to select the front image, check the thumbnail preview, and click OK. Because I'd placed a construction line in my previous sketch, it's easier now to see where the image should go. Let's opt for about 40% transparency. One more thing I should mention here. If you're using a few pictures that you've taken with your digital camera, it's a good idea to process them first a little bit in a photo editor like, for example, Photoshop. It's easier to size the images appropriately before you import them into Solidworks. For example, if I need my width to be 500 millimeters wide, it's much easier to resize the image first in your photo editor, like for example Photoshop, to 500 pixels. Before you import it, your imported images will fit together better. Let's accept and exit the sketch. I'm going to rename the sketch appropriately. Right-click, Feature Properties. Let's call it Front. And click OK. Lastly, I need to insert the side view. New sketch on the right plane. Let's take a normal 2 view. Notice I didn't create a construction line for the front view. And as you see, now I don't have a reference for how tall the image is. I've got to turn my sketch a little bit. Let's go to Previous View. Now Sketch, Sketch Tools, Sketch Picture. The last picture I've got is the side view. Let's check the thumbnail option and click Open. Now let's position it. I need to flip my picture horizontally. Click here. And I need to scale it a little as well. Just make it a bit smaller. Let's scale it just a little more. Okay, and let's apply transparency now, about 40% as we had previously. Accept our changes and exit the sketch. Let's rename it appropriately as well. Right-click, Feature Properties. Let's call it Side. Click OK. Lastly, let's save our project. I'm going to call it L45, Lesson 45. And then I'll click Save. This concludes our lesson about inserting an image. We're going to be picking up from here in our next lesson to continue building this part.